And we're live. Hi guys, I hope you are all doing well. Wanted to hop onto this live stream to go over everything that's moving in the markets right now. Huge day for stocks. Really an impressive day. I haven't looked at any of the news yet, so I don't know if there's a specific fundamental factor that's driving this move, but we have had some bipolar markets the last couple of weeks. And today is just nuts. So I don't know if the dip's over. We're going to look at that. I bought a few stocks myself. Maybe we'll look at that as well. Definitely some good opportunities that we've had the last week or so with the dip. It could continue. It could drop lower, but it's pretty crazy. So drop any comments or questions you have. I'll go over them in a little bit, but we're just going to check out everything first because it's really a pretty crazy move. So US 30 right here, so we are up 2.16%. Oil is up 5%. So just a super solid positive risk sentiment throughout. Silver's down 1%. The Nikkei is up 1 point. So the Nikkei is not up as much. I know the Asian session's obviously closed. I would expect, maybe some carryover into the Asian session tonight. That could be interesting, especially, if we can apply that to our FX pairs. GJ's up 1%. Super obvious there. We could be getting some nice pullbacks to offer some potential sell opportunities. Here, let's take a look on GJ. GJ, we could get a retracement somewhere to that 200 moving average, which would be pretty nice. Just up here. Need to draw a fib, but we can look into that a little bit more. Let's check the news to see what's going on. Biden mulls cutting Russia off SWIFT. Kamala Harris is soul destroying bully. Okay, let's look at Forex Factory. Okay, People's Bank of Canada cuts bank reserve requirement ratio by 50 basis points. That's interesting. Need to look into that. Well, I know we have the RBA tonight, and the RBA is going to be really an interesting meeting. I don't think they're going to hike rates. It's not really expected for them to hike rates based on what I have seen. They are really... There was this interesting opinion piece in the... Was it this guy? Yeah, it was this one here. So he was saying, this is John, I'll butcher that last name, but this is the AFR.com. So it's merely my view that the RBA is merely a follower when setting cash rates against the power of the US Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, and Japanese Central Bank. So essentially what he's saying is that until the Federal Reserve starts to hike interest rates, the RBA is not going to hike interest rates. So they're not so independent in that sense, which is really interesting. So it could move markets tonight big time. We'll see. Let's look at the Aussie pairs actually to see how they're lining up, to see how we could potentially trade it. Clean up all of this because it's just one big mess. So the fact that if they do hike rates is obviously bullish for the Aussie. That's going to bring pound Aussie down, but they're not expected to hike. I don't think they're going to be doing anything, so it could be a non-event. It would be good to see if there's anything that the guys at Forex Live are saying. Oh, they changed their whole website. That's interesting. I accept. Huh. Okay. So Bitcoin staying above 200-day moving average today. I actually bought a little bit of Bitcoin today. I know it dropped. It had a crazy drop on the weekend. Crude oil moves back up 5%. That's the 50-day. Don't know how I love this new update by Forex Live. So the Dow Industrial Average is leading the way with a gain of over 700 points or 2.08% gain. Yeah, the move to the low. So no really fundamental drivers. It's just, positive risk sentiment. Bitcoin staying above 200-day moving average. Stocks. JP Morgan moves Bank of England tightening. This is interesting. This is important. I'm going to be having a video come out this week about central banks and how we need to keep an eye on central banks. I just filmed it today, so I think that'll be super helpful for you guys. If you're new to central banks and interest rates and your fundamental analysis isn't that strong, then I think it will be really helpful. But we're at kind of an inflection point right now. Regarding interest rates, the Federal Reserve is going to be forced to hike rates to combat inflation. So that is really what's going on. It's only a matter of time until inflation gets out of hand. It's expected, the print that's coming out, it's coming out soon. I read today, either this week or next week. It's the highest since like 1982 that it's expected to be. It's like 6.7% the inflation rate. So it's super, super high. And so even though NFP was really weak on Friday and it was a huge miss, they're going to be forced to hike rates. New Zealand's already done it. Europe's going to have to do it. So this is going to start to shift our thinking, or it's going to start to shift what's going to move markets, and in turn that's going to have an impact on how we go about trading and developing our bias. So definitely need to keep an eye out for that. I know it's super dry. Nobody loves reading about monetary policy, but I do think it is actually very helpful and very valuable in trading. So keep your eyes out for that. Okay, so we've got the news here, so that's all good. So we'll go over a couple charts together, and then if you guys have any questions, we can look at that. But really, I just wanted to show and talk about the fact that stocks are up 2.14%. We're coming up to this 61 fib from this major high. So this is going to be kind of the resistance with these moving averages here, this whole area. So keep your eyes out for that. 61, we've still got these moving averages, so we'll see we're 230, so we still have a couple hours before the close. But this is the area to watch. I mean, if we break past, we've got this key level here as well. So this is at 355, so that's the area to watch. Otherwise, we will drop further. But the price action alone is really convincing me, or giving me a sign that, you know, maybe the dip is over. So that's everything for stocks. So let's look at pound yen, because I think this move is going to carry over into the Asian session. The Nikkei is going to move higher, I think, and so that's going to bring the pound up higher as well. We do have this 200 EMA on the daily, this guy right here, but I don't think there's a ton of other confluences. It's at 150.9. There is a key level. There's a lot of touches along here, but I don't think it's enough for me to just take the trade alone. If we have a fib drawn from, maybe draw it from here, it's probably clear on the 4 hour. But the 61 fib is looking good. So if we get really a positive risk sentiment carryover, we're going to come up to this. Yeah, we'll drop from here. We're going to come up to the 61 fib, and then I would want to take a short from right here. This area here. So we've got this right here, the 200, and we've got the 4 hour 50. But it's risky with the news. With the positive, this is when fundamental analysis really comes in handy, because you might not want to take this trade because stocks are moving so much. It's not like we're up 0.5% or even 1%. 2% move in one day is really quite large. So that might stop you from taking a short here, even though otherwise, you know, you might want to take it. Yeah, it's a pretty good key level. I'll definitely be setting a notification for this area, but a short up here, and any kind of buy 38 fib we bounced to. That's GJ. Other than that, oil's up 5.5% now. Let's just scroll through. Nothing really Pound Aussie actually. Sorry, Euro Aussie. Getting a little bit of a retracement. $38,594. That could be something. But I didn't take any trades today. It's been a pretty boring day in terms of any FX trades. There's been nothing. So hopefully that this move in stocks will provide some kind of pullback on our pairs, so we'll get some setup. I don't have anything that's like even even close. EJ hasn't moved. We're still waiting for 126.7 on EJ. Be curious to look at some stocks if there's anything you guys are interested in. I did buy a little bit of Bitcoin this morning. I'm not a huge Bitcoin fanatic, but we had this crazy drop on Saturday. And there was one, PayPal was looking really interesting. Because the thing is, what I have started to learn is that if you just watch the indexes, if you only watch the S&P 500, if you only watch, the Dow Jones, really you never get a buying opportunity because it just always seemingly goes higher, as we're seeing today with this 2% move. But if you look at individual sectors, and maybe this is evident to you or simple, which is good. For me, I kind of overlooked it. If you just look at individual sectors, we do get these pullbacks that provide really, really good buying opportunities that you wouldn't think were there if you only looked at the indexes. You would say, oh, the indexes are at an all-time high. There's not really any buying opportunities, therefore stocks are really expensive, evaluations are really high. So I ended up actually buying Enphase a few months back, which has just done incredibly well. I sold my position, but I made well over 40% on it. And this is one that, 2021, this is when we started to get a pullback in stocks earlier in the year, late summer, May, and I sold right around here, and obviously it's gone on to make a new high. But this is a good example of how if you were to just look at the index, you wouldn't have seen this opportunity. And again, this doesn't look like a big pullback, but it's a weekly chart, so this was several months. So it was a good buying opportunity. And so I think we're seeing that on a few stocks now, such as PayPal. PayPal is really a solid company. They're doing some good things. Their balance sheet is pretty solid. And I mean, even if you didn't know a single thing about PayPal, you could just look at this chart, and we haven't had any kind of significant pullback in ever. So PayPal is something that I've got my eyes on. Another one is Alibaba. So I actually have a position in Alibaba. It is not doing well. It is down 40%. This is a weekly chart. It is just taking a huge dump. But their evaluation, I think, is very fair, or not fair, who am I to say, but it's reasonable compared to other companies. Their PE is 30. It's what even is it? It's 17. So you don't see a ton of huge companies that have pretty low price to equity evaluation. So I do like Alibaba, but they're having a lot of difficulties with a Chinese regulation. They might get delisted. So that is an issue, and that's why we've seen this huge drop just in the last couple of months. So it's really on fears of delisting. So you'd have to keep your eyes out for that. But this is an interesting stock too. So for any of you that do trade stocks, or if you guys have questions, I'm not an expert, but it's something that I'm getting more and more into, because I think at the end of the day, if you make money from trading Forex, you have to do something with that money, and why not invest it and grow it further? So I've started to look into some individual stocks a little bit more. Do you guys have any questions? There's nothing really crazy going on with any FX pairs, so I can't really provide you with a ton of setups. 1.97 on GN is actually really nice. I went over that yesterday in yesterday's video, so keep your eyes out for that. We are getting a decent move to the upside, so we could see this today. It's the monthly 100 EMA key level round number. We can see that monthly EMA right there, so I won't want to miss that. That will be a good setup. A couple pips below 1.97. GJ, nothing. But I think the lesson here is keep your eyes on stocks. Are we going to break the 61 fib? That's what we need to watch, because that's going to be the barometer for risk sentiment. So this area right here, are we going to break it? Or are we going to drop lower? That's what you need to watch. And then the carryover this evening. What is the Nikkei going to do? Will we see a reverse of risk sentiment if something comes out? I'm not expecting that. I think we will get a carryover because there doesn't seem to be a huge fundamental driver for this move. It's just positive risk sentiment. So that could carry over. And if it does, then you need to watch GJ, because it will move higher, so you wouldn't want to take that immediate short. But the stock market is a barometer for risk sentiment and a barometer for how our FX pairs are going to move. So I hope all of that makes sense. I do kind of feel, at least myself, that I repeat it a little bit in the videos, but it's super important, and it can be a little bit of a difficult concept to grasp. The fundamentals are pretty vast, and there's a lot of moving pieces, so hopefully that does make sense. So yeah, so keep your eyes on this area on US 30. If the Nikkei continues this move, then GJ will follow suit, and the overall risk sentiment will. And then, of course, the Aussie dollar. We have the RBA interest rate decision tonight, so that could be a large factor in the market, how the Australian dollar moves, and it will be large in the sense of that it's going to set the tone, it's going to set a tone for the global environment in terms of what central banks are going to do. So it's a very, very, very important meeting, so I'm looking forward to that. I think it's like 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, so keep your eyes up for that. If you guys don't have any questions, thanks for tuning in, guys. Calvin, I'm not trading stocks, but I'm watching them. I bought some stocks last week. I bought some Disney. I bought some PayPal. I haven't bought more. I haven't increased my position in Alibaba. It's a little bit, I'm down pretty big actually, but I think it could be another good buying opportunity. So I'm not trading anything, but I am looking, and I think it's good to learn in public with you guys. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions that I might have thought about, so I think it could provide some good value. I learned a lot from the stock market FX. Yeah, that is fantastic. Yeah, there's been some weird moves today for being down 3% on your MyForex funds. You got to stay patient. 3% in one day, though, maybe your risk is a little bit high, but yeah, so stock market is really, really important for risk sentiment, for the risk barometer, so definitely keep your eyes on that. I hope you guys got some value from this video. I have some exciting videos coming out this week, one on FTMO risk management. I've got another one on focus, and another one that I mentioned today about the fundamentals regarding central banks and how it's moving the FX market. So we're definitely at an inflection point. Things are going to get super interesting, and I know it's a dry topic, but I think your trading will really improve if you do implement it, because I'm trying to implement it, and even if it doesn't get you into trades, I think it will help you not get into certain trades that you could get burned on, because when it comes to fundamentals, technicals are secondary. You could have the strongest technical area, and if you have a big fundamental driver, it will just break through that zone for the most part. So definitely keep your eyes on all of that. I hope you guys got some value from this. I will see you in the next video. Stay tuned for everything else. Keep your eyes out on the news, and until then, peace.